Hi, I'm Emma. I'm a software engineer at Google, and I've just recently graduated from the University of Bath. I'm hoping to talk to you guys today about opportunities for women in tech. I just want to sort of say here that when I say women in tech, I do mean underrepresented groups in tech. A lot of the opportunities that I've had and the ones that I'm going to talk about today are things that I know are open to other underrepresented groups. So I just wanted to let anyone know who's watching that it's not just women. Awesome. So I could do like a whole other talk about the inequalities that still exist in the sector, and there's been a few talks today about it. But I like to just say this is a really awesome poem. It neatly sums up what we should all be doing, and I'm just going to read it before I begin. So, I stand on the sacrifices of a million women before me, thinking, what can I do to make this mountain taller so the women after me can see farther? By Rupi Kaur. It's an awesome poem and an awesome book that you guys should read if you get the chance. So things I'm going to talk about today, I'm going to talk about me, who I am, the opportunities that I've had, and then the opportunities that you guys could have that I know about. There are so many more out there, but I just want to talk about a few that I know of, and then just some general advice. So about me, a little icebreaker. A hobby. I love to sing, and I also love to dance, but I'm not quite as good at that. A fun fact is that I've never broken a bone, but after writing this, I have a tooth, and I think that might count. So maybe I need to change my fun fact. And something I'm proud of, I'm really proud of starting Women in Tech at Bath. If anybody does end up going to Bath, I would recommend getting involved in the group. It's really lovely. And to be honest, any like Women in Tech Society, probably at the unis that you might go to or the courses you're on, it's brilliant to just meet women in other years and going through the same experiences you are. So my journey. So a little bit where I started, I loved making things and I was good at maths at school. So I was pretty certain that I was going to study maths at university. I ended up taking computer science because of the block system. If anyone's from the UK, they have blocks where you choose one topic from each block. And in the one block, the only thing that even remotely interested me was computer science. So I ended up taking it. It turned out to be my favorite subject. But it was just me and this other girl in the class, and she actually dropped out in a few months. So I think I just decided I didn't want to be the only girl in the room. And I was pretty sat on studying maths at university. But I ended up meeting some really cool women doing computer science. And yeah, I just I changed my mind, kind of. I then decided I was going to do maths and computer science. And that's what I went to all the open days for. And yeah, at the open days, I realized that computer science is what I was passionate about. It's what I really enjoyed. It had maths in it already anyway. So dived straight in, took computer science at the University of Bath. So one of the really cool things about Bath, and actually there's a couple of other unis that do it too, they do a year-long placement as part of the degree. So I ended up going to JP Morgan. It was really cool. I owe them a lot because I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do. And we ended up being in a really technical team, and I fell in love with coding. And I decided there that I wanted to be a software developer or software engineer. So I graduated at the University of Bath, and JP Morgan offered me a job to go back. I did go back and I stayed there for a while, but I kind of decided I wanted to work at a different company. I wanted to work in a software company. I'd fallen in love with software. And so I decided I wanted to go and work at Google. So I applied, and I'll talk more about how that whole process worked. And then I got a job, and that's where I've been for the last 6 months. So I'm a fresh graduate. A lot of the experiences that I'm going to talk about are the experiences that I've had. So some of them do apply to further in life, so no matter when you're doing it, but obviously I can only speak to my own experience. So the opportunities that I was given. So I had 2 avenues that I received these opportunities. One was through the university. So the things that they introduced directly from the university and the staff and the events that they host. And then through networking. And some of those networks started at university, but you have to carry them on and go to events like this one. So the university. So there was a few things that the university did for me. One, the placement year. So like I said, Bath provides brilliant support for doing a placement as part of your degree. And doing a placement or an internship generally is pretty crucial alongside your education. If you were like me and you went straight from school, straight to university, it's really good to have hands-on experience and workplace skills. I ended up doing 15 months. So I worked for quite a long time between my second year and final year. And then Lovelace. If anyone here is at university at the moment, Lovelace is a really awesome event. It's basically kind of like this one, but people do posters about something they're really interested in, which was cool because it gave you an opportunity to research something outside of your degree that you were interested in and talk about it. Gave you presentation skills, it got to increase your network, and it's actually where I met my first recruiter for Google. And then qualifications is just what you need to get you through the door. Even if you're in later life and you decide to do a switch, doing a course in something that's relevant to the career that you want to go into is really important. And if you're lucky and you know what you want to do already, it's really good to prioritize what you're going to study. Maybe you want to do something specific like machine learning, AI. There is courses for that, and it's something worth looking into. I had no idea, so I did straight computer science. I was broad as I could till I could figure out what I wanted, and that's also okay. Some nice photos. So this Lovelace is the far left in the top one. Actually, Sue Black I saw was giving the closing keynote, so definitely worth a listen. She's an awesome speaker. She was at Lovelace 2017. That's me graduating, and the right is the placement. Another good thing about placement and internships is that they provide a lot of opportunities for networking within the company. You're more likely to, they put a lot of money into internship programs, and you'll find that you'll go on a lot more events and you'll meet a lot more people. So it's definitely worth doing for that as well. They all tie into each other, all of these things. So through networking, so when I met the recruiter at Lovelace, I got talking to her and I took part in this thing called Get Ahead, which was a program for women interested in a career at Google. So it was really cool. It included a coding competition, which was another point, because it's a really great way to showcase your talents. And if you do well, then you get more opportunities. So I came in the top 10, I think it was, and then we ended up going to this really cool event. And also interview help. If you were like me and you didn't really know anybody who's been to places like Google, Microsoft, Facebook, these kind of companies where they have these coding questions as interviews, ask your network. Create a network of people who have been through this process already. I've actually seen a couple of my colleagues posting on LinkedIn to do mock interviews with people. And so it's things like that. Look out for interview help. Ask your network, because it's not something that you can just dive right in and be great at. It does require practice. And finally, grants. So I didn't know about grants in my first year, which was probably the key time to know about them, because that's usually when they start giving out yearly help. But there's other types of grants. So I actually got a travel grant, which was really cool. I got to go to Grace Hopper, which I have a photo of because it was an amazing experience. The bottom left-hand side is a stadium in America filled with women in tech. That was all women, and it was just so wonderful to be in a room filled with techie women. The top, again, all techie women, that was the Get Ahead scheme. And then the bottom right is me doing some coding. But yeah, I have to admit, if you ever get an opportunity to go to Grace Hopper, you definitely should. It's incredible. I actually think also I missed the year they hosted it in Disneyland, so another great thing about it. So yeah, so that's all the opportunities that I was given and that I took. And here's some opportunities that you could have. So yeah, all of them. There's so much opportunity out there for women going into work, into IT. Companies see the value of us, both as customers and employees. There are endless possibilities, and this is just a couple that I have heard of, or I have friends who have done, or I have done personally, so that I could just give you kind of an idea of what there is out there. So scholarships, monetary help. There is a few different scholarships. So JP Morgan offer a winning women scholarship, easy for me to say, which is an internship and money for each year of study. And they also have, what's another one? It's money. I think Women Tech Makers also offers money for every year of study. And they provide access to resources and events. And they also help you meet other people in the industry. So I think Women Tech Makers is part of Google, but they do introduce you to other people as well. And they actually, a couple of Women Tech Makers came to Grace Hopper with me, which was really cool. Women returners. So if anyone here maybe took a break, a family break, and had kids, one of my friend's mums did Women Returners. And it's really helpful to get you into a job again. They provide consulting, coaching, network. They basically want to remove the career break penalty, which I'm sure we've all heard of. So another couple of ones that I found, which I thought were really cool. So maybe you want to do a startup. So Women Who Tech provide a startup grant, as well as coaching and mentoring and resources to help you on your way starting your startup. So another really cool thing. Maybe you're not into coding and that kind of stuff. There's also Women in Data. And also I think the Microsoft Women one is also a data science. Yeah, so these provide things like boot camps and networking opportunities and events, and also obviously internships. Generally, a scholarship comes with an internship or a graduate role. So if they're going to give you money for a year, every year at university, you'll probably find that you'll also do an internship with them. So yeah, so this is just a couple. There are so many more out there. This is just from what I've known already. And it's really worth researching what you want to do and sort of work its way backwards. And I just wanted to do a quick shout out because I personally love coding and I think it's awesome. And if it's an avenue you want to go down, I think you should totally give coding competitions a try. They sometimes have really good prizes. There tends to be coding competitions just for women. So if you guys have heard of Google I/O, I saw they did a code jam competition where the top 100 people, it was all for women, got to go to I/O, which I thought was like maybe the top 20, I can't remember now, but it was like a lot of people got to go and it was really cool. So really worth looking into. And it's also really good interview practice. So if you do want to go and work at a company that has these kind of interviews, then doing this kind of competition gets you in that mindset of how to think and how to get through algorithms and problems. And there's also a lot of websites for that. So yeah, research. I think this is like the biggest thing, is try and work out what you want to do. And if you don't know what you want to do, who inspires you? Like, do they do something that do they share your values? So getting a mentor can be really helpful. Even if you're pretty sure you want to go into technology, but you're not quite sure what bit, it's worth like having a couple mentors. Don't feel like you only have to have one. Maybe someone who does tech, maybe someone who does consulting, data science. Like, it's okay to talk to multiple people and get that kind of diverse range of opinions. Not everyone will have the same experience. Everyone will have a different journey, and it's really worth trying to find one that merges with you and your values. For funding, do you need monetary help? And if you do, think wisely about the company that's offering it, because you will probably have to do a placement in order to receive the monetary help. And do you want to do a placement? And then maybe beyond that, do you want to go to a conference? So like I said, like Grace Hopper, also I/O, and it's the ones that just come to the top of my head though. They all have funding scholarships. So you can ask a company to fund you and you go as a student. You can also go as a professional as well. So your company might sponsor you. So look for conferences and maybe even pitch it. If you're already working somewhere, pitch it as an idea that you should go and that it would help maybe your company or you. And yeah, internships are like long interviews. That's another thing, is if you want to work somewhere, it can be, don't want to say easier, but it can be an easier path to do an internship and then get a job off the back of that. They tend to have harder hiring processes to get a straight away graduate role, rather than doing an internship first. And it's kind of like a long interview, so they get more of an idea of what you're like. So if you're not super great at interviews, this is a really good way of kind of getting around that. Maybe you're a really brilliant candidate, and I do find that sometimes women are perhaps worse at selling themselves. So it can be better to get your foot in the door and then show them how great you are by working hard. So yeah, my advice to you guys is to network. Events like this one are beyond helpful. They help you find people who have similar goals to you and similar career paths. Research what you want to do, and then even if you don't know what you want to do, research what your options are. And then, yeah, ask for help. Don't feel like you have to do it on your own. I think one of the reasons why I managed to do so well in my interviews for Google was that I asked for help with my interviews. I don't think I would have done as well if I'd have done it straight off the bat without any help. It's good to do mocks and it's good to practice. Like it's not something that comes naturally to everyone to just talk about what you're doing as you're doing it. And yeah, dream big. Like you can do anything if you work hard. Like you can do what you want to do. Like Google was my dream, and I got it. Just I've got to make up a new dream. And yeah, you can do it, and you definitely will. And awesome. That's the slides I prepared, but I've already seen some questions in the stage, so I'm just going to open that up for you. Did I create the society? Yeah, so we didn't have a Women in Tech Society at Bath. A lot of universities do have them, but we didn't have one at the time. So me and my friend decided to start one up. And it's just a really good opportunity because unfortunately, as much as these events, and we're all trying to make it more representative of women in the sector, as a university, I think the national average is about 13%. So we found that even though there was actually quite a few women at Bath doing computer science, they were all throughout the different years. So you didn't get that kind of interaction with them as much as you might do in your course. So we created a society, and it meant we could meet the people in all the years above us and the years below and have that kind of network and that community of people. But yeah, like I said, a lot of universities do have those societies, so watch out for them and definitely join. Did you collaborate with people from other disciplines like humanities and social science? I'm not quite sure what bit you are when you asked that question. So I'm really sorry, I'm not quite sure what you're referring to. Is there a UK version of Grace Hopper? I wish there was a UK version of Grace Hopper. No, there isn't. I think there are other women in tech conferences in the UK, none that are as big. When you go to Grace Hopper, people are from all over the world. Like it's not just people in America. So you do find that, you know, there were loads of people from England and different European countries as well. So it's not just, yeah, I'm not sure. You'd have to look this one up. If you're interested in a career change, would like to go into data science, but have no previous background, how do you go about finding a mentor? So yeah, you've taken the right step by being at this conference today. I would say this kind of stuff is how you find people. This is how you find someone who's interested. You do things like the networking and you watch the talks, and maybe someone will talk about something that you're interested in. And that's sort of the way that you make those natural connections. Definitely events are the best that I found. And also if you maybe don't find anyone that's interested, maybe someone else will know. So if you talk to someone who's had a lot of industry experience, they probably do know somebody else who does data science. So you can ask for a referral. No one will be offended if you say that, you know, their job isn't what you're interested in, but do they know somebody? They'll be really excited to help most of the time. Is there many women at your job in Google? Yeah and no. I'd say it's representative of what the world kind of is. We're not a high percentage already. Like women aren't, there aren't many women in tech at the moment. On my actual team, I think it's half and half, but that isn't like Google generally. I think we just happen to have a hiring where women got hired onto the team, which is awesome. I absolutely love it. And I wish that all teams were like that. And I wish I could say that was the case, but it isn't. There are other teams, there's maybe like 1 or 2 women on. But it's really good. Like I've seen Google trying to hire women into leadership roles. We have a few in my org where there are women higher up, people that can look up to. And there's also any company that you go to, there is probably going to be a woman in tech society there too. So what's really cool, we have women at Google. So they do loads of events, and they means that you can meet other women. And maybe if you wanted to change roles, or if you're interested in other aspects, we can. That's another network that you can utilize. And pretty much every company has one. I mean, the bigger companies for sure. I'm not sure about smaller companies. Cool. Is there any other questions? I'm happy to just like hang around if people do have questions. I can just like mute my mic and wait for it. Actually, I'll put that slide up that had all of these in case you guys want to research any of them. There's no more questions. And if there is, please feel free to just reach out. I have a profile on here now. Oh, what do you say to my 7-year-old daughter to get her into tech? I mean, firstly, she has to be interested in it. I think the thing about, at least for my own experience when I was younger, and like I mentioned, I didn't think I was going to go into tech for this exact reason. No other girls are doing it, so I didn't want to be on my own. I think it's really just worth showing her role models. Like find her people in technology, and show her how great it is. And I think that's probably the best way to go. Yeah, and also I would say at school, I know it's getting better now. I think you can actually take a GCSE in computer science, which is awesome, which you didn't have when I was younger. But like doing like maths and those kind of subjects, I think they lead quite nicely into things like computer science, and doing like Scratch and those kind of things. It's surprising, but it helps people get into it. Yeah, I think she'll be all right. Are those opportunities you've discussed only for doing computer science degrees? Would they take people with other backgrounds or degree subjects but are looking to get into tech? Some of them, yes. So I know for a fact that the Amazon bursary is for like engineering generally. So they also do like robotics systems and things like that. But I think if you're doing a career change, it's worth talking to them and saying, if you're going to do education, sort of like a course with maybe the Institute of Coding or any of the partners kind of thing, then it's worth saying like, this is what I'm trying to do. And then that's how you can segue into that. It is, if you're doing a career change, some of them aren't going to be the same, but I know that some of them do accept. Women returners, definitely, that's consulting, generally. I'm trying to remember the details of all these scholarships. But yeah, I would say if you're interested in getting into tech, having those kind of things like, yes, I'm doing this course, I'm interested in this particular aspect of computer science, I've been coding on the side, I've been doing competitions, things like that. I think you can have that evidence and they'll use that instead of your degree. I think it will depend what you're applying for though. I know that the bursaries are for degrees. I'm currently a first-year uni student studying graphic design, but looking to change your career path to computer science. Would you recommend changing course now or wait until you finish the next 2 years? I mean, if you've decided you want to change to computer science, I would say do it now. If that is, if in your head you're like, no, this is what I want to do. I wouldn't worry about the technical side if you're planning on doing a degree. A lot of degrees do not require you to already have knowledge in the subject. I think at Bath, I'm not sure anymore, but when I applied, they didn't actually ask for computer science. It was more about like maths. So it's about having that like understanding, that basis sort of methodological brain. So I wouldn't worry about having the technical knowledge already, but also you could start doing some just like little courses or little side projects. You don't feel like you have to be an expert before you start studying something. You can definitely know that you're passionate about it without being good at it. That's what a degree's for. I also loved Scratch. What's the interview process like? So, oh man, I could do like a whole other talk on the interview process at Google. So Google, I applied as a fresh graduate, so I didn't do an internship. I applied as for a graduate role. So I had to do 2 telephone interviews. One which was like algorithms and problem solving, and one which was Java language specifics. And then I went to an open day? No, what are they called? Assessment center. And at the assessment center, I had 5 more interviews, 4 of which were technical, and one was like I can't remember what they're called. It's where you answer questions about situations you've been in. So if I'm sure you've heard about it, where someone says you're in this situation and somebody says something, how do you respond? Those kind of questions. And then I got it goes to a packet committee after that, where they assess everything that you've done, including your CV and all of your interview. It's all anonymized, and then they get a response, and then your recruiter comes back to you. It took a really long time to get through it all. What is the difference? If you have any more questions about that, please feel free to reach out. I've got some good resources for specific Google stuff. What is the difference between computer science and software engineering? So computer science is a lot more broad. Computer science covers like all sorts of areas. And when you're doing a degree in computer science, that's kind of the point. You're supposed to be doing all sorts of different things, whereas software engineering is specifically about creating software and engineering the infrastructure as well. The computer science can cover like graphics, if you're interested in graphics, and like research, and I'm just, wow, I can't think of anything off the top of my head. No, because I'd say like data science comes under software engineering as well. I think generally is software engineering and software development largely the same? Yes and no. I would say software development is just creating software, so the writing, the coding of it. Whereas I'd say software engineering is more about the design and the infrastructure and the full stack. So I mean, that's probably my own personal definition of it. And I know looking around at jobs, I saw that there was jobs for software development, and I was reading it and it was software engineering in my head. So I would say, like, when you're looking for job roles, it's probably good to just look at both of those keywords and then read the job descriptions. You'll find that sometimes they will require more around just, coding, or they'll require more like database knowledge and infrastructure and things like that. Not quite sure. I think it's just like everyone has their own definition of that. So for a career in data science, software engineering would be a good fit. Yeah, it would be. I would say if you want specifically to do data science, you'll probably find there are data science careers where they actually ask for data scientists, but you can be a data science software engineer. There's like a lot of different paths. The best thing that you can do is research what the job role is, and yeah, it's really hard because everyone uses different labels, so it's quite difficult to say that yes, this is the job role you're looking for, because maybe the company doesn't use that same terminology. Okay, cool. There's a lot more questions. I will mute myself again and let you think of some more things if you'd like to, because that seemed to work really well there. Okay, cool. So did it take a long time to get a role after graduating, and what additional things do you think most boosted your application or CV? So no. So I when I did a placement, I got offered a graduate role off the back of my placement. So this is what tends to happen a lot with internships and placements, is that they'll offer you a grad role straight away after you've graduated. So I went straight into work, and I went to work at JP Morgan for a bit. I would say, like, because then I applied for a new role at Google, I'm going to answer the second part of that based off of that question, that job, sorry. So when I was applying for Google, I think it helps to have a passion for computer science and to have like evidence of that passion. So the fact that I could talk about, well, I guess women in tech did help a little bit because it kind of showed a passion for extracurricular. But I would say things like programming competitions and being really into like algorithms and that kind of aspect of computer science helps, and being able to sort of list different technologies that you've perhaps used. Even though I would say generally programming languages are fairly transferable. So if you learn something like Python, you'll probably be able to transfer those skills over to things like Java. They're still good to know language specifics. And one of the things that I did pride myself on is like my knowledge of the Java language. And that's another thing that I did talk about. And the job was for Android. So that was similar to Java. Yeah, I think passion, like a genuine passion for it. People look for it, and they can tell if you genuinely care. And yeah, I don't. The problem is, I would say, if you're going to do a degree, like an internship in a company that you want to work for, is probably like your best bet. Pretty much everyone at Bath got grad roles off the back of the placements, so it's definitely worth thinking about. In the healthcare field, awesome. I wanted to know if it's possible to go into data science with no background or further study. If so, how and where is the best place to apply for jobs? Oh, I would probably say you're gonna have to do something. I don't think you'd be hired into data science without any technical knowledge. Has to do a course. It doesn't have to be an expensive 3-year degree, but doing something. I think there's like quite a few online courses that are perhaps shorter. Maybe you can do around your job so that you don't have to, you don't have to take time out. Healthcare and data science also goes hand in hand. So there's another good thing about that. You could probably talk about, about how you're going to apply it to that field. But I wouldn't, I personally don't know, but I wouldn't say you'd be able to get a job without any sort of technical knowledge. And if you was going to, it would probably be an apprenticeship. So apprenticeship programs are another segue into tech. You can do Google do offer apprenticeships, but I'm not sure its specifics. But essentially, you go in with the understanding that you don't really know anything, and you kind of study alongside the job so that you continue to get paid. and you still get a qualification at the end. So maybe, yeah, maybe look into internships if you're happy to start an internship now. Oh, more questions. Yeah. So you just completed your MSc in computing with no prior background in tech. I'm currently doing an online web dev course to further develop this skill. Awesome. Would you recommend, having a portfolio of websites I start applying, or can I start applying now as a graduate? Oh no, definitely start applying now. If you've already completed your MSc in computing, you've already proven that you've taken the extra step to further your knowledge. It's awesome that you're doing web dev courses, and it is good to have a portfolio. But I would say that you definitely can start applying as a graduate now. You can, what are you doing? An online web development course. Oh, I see, a new portfolio of websites. Yeah, I mean, that would be really cool, but I don't think it's necessary. I think you could apply as a graduate right now. If you were going to try and go into something like specifically for web dev, then some places might actually ask for a portfolio. So again, you need to research what these jobs require, what is in the job spec, and what is required of you for the application as well. I think that will really depend. And awesome. Thank you, Clara, for answering Sarah there as well. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I'm hoping the recording can see the chat, because that's a really good answer to that question. Yeah, I do think this is also just general advice. It's really worth looking into the job definitions for roles that you want to apply to, because you can end up doing preparation work for a job that perhaps doesn't actually need it. Maybe you're going to learn these things on the job. It's worth, again, through your network, talking to people in the sector and asking them what they had to do to get their role, and what they're looking for in candidates. And this is probably the best way of knowing the answers to these questions. I don't work in data science, so it's hard to answer it because I don't know what people had to do to get into data science roles. So yeah, definitely, this is the big thing, is finding people who do things similar to what you want to do. And this is how, with Google, I had a mentor, and he was so helpful in getting me the job and helping me to prepare for the interviews and knowing what they would want from me. So yeah. We've all asked questions. And again, please feel free to reach out if you do have any other questions. Thank you so much for joining my talk today, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the event.